Hey guys, welcome to my best losing week. So I call it my best losing week because I had all the trades I took were all losses, but it's a good losing week for me because I took the same trades I've been taking, same setup and everything, and it just didn't play out the way I was anticipating it to play out. So I'll take a minute, I'll show you guys the trades I took, and we'll do a quick trade recap thing, and then I'll come back and show you guys the opportunities I have. And I have one trade that's running currently, and I'll show you guys that as well. All right, let's take a minute and do the trade recap thing. So I started the week with like so much confidence. So coming into the week, I was like super pumped because like the previous week was really good for me. So I was looking at this week, I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna smash it this week. So came in super excited and stuff like that. And my first position was this buy position right here, and I spoke about this last week. So we had like the previous price action was an impulse, and I was looking at this correction thing. So as price started correcting, I was looking at this lows. It was very close to this psychological level of 4,000. Inabilities to make lows, inabilities to make lows, a push up, inabilities to make lows. So I got in right here, and my target was this highs right here. So you look at the aftermath of this, it was like complete stop loss hit thing. So my stop loss got taken on this position, so that was a loss right there. I reanalyzed it because I still had the same thought process thing. It's an impulse and price is coming down as a correction. So if this entry wasn't the best one, I waited a little bit and I was looking for the next buy opportunity. So I'll show you what I was looking at. So the second buy attempt thing, so I had an impulse correction, price to move into the downside close to the psychological level of 4,000. On lower time frames, you see some kind of consolidation within this area, which is something I like looking at because it tells me there's an inability for prices to go lower. I took the same buy position thing again, and I got stopped out on this one as well. So second trade, second loss for the week. So I got stopped out and price kept moving again to the downside. So I went on the lower time frame thing. So there's another setup we look at, which is like the reversal setup thing. Went on the lower time frame, price came to, so we had this breach of this psychological level, and as price started coming back to this psychological level, I was looking at it and anticipating sales again to the downside. So I was anticipating sales to the downside. Look for like confirmations on this for selling opportunity. And if you look at this as well, I got stopped out on this one. So first three trades for the week, everything went south for me. So I was sat there looking at this, I was like, what's happening? So, and again, I just had to take a moment and be like, all right, cool, there's something I'm not seeing, and I'll probably have to look at the higher time frames again. So I went to the higher time frames, and if you look at this, same position thing I was looking at. So if you remember the first two positions, I took a loss around here, took a loss around here. So I did attempt the buys again on this pair. So you had lows, you're looking at this impulse, everything is a correction. Now this looked better to me because you're looking at this lows, inability, price pulled back to an area like this. I was like, cool, so this is a good point where I can buy from. So I had my buys off of this area. So this is a position that's running currently. So I'm still holding this, and I hold this over the weekend and see what price does coming into next week. So that's the only position I'm in currently. It's running in some profits, it's not a lot. I will show you guys when we do the breakdown on gold properly. But 3 losses for the week, one trade that's running currently. So it's not really been the best one, but it's still a great week because I took the same positions I've been taking and the same setups and everything. All right, guys, so that's it for the trade recap. Let's look at the DXY and look at gold really quick. When I took the buys on gold, I was looking at some corrections on the DXY. Now you have to look at this on lower time frames to really understand what I was looking at. But let's do the breakdown on the DXY, and I'll show you guys what I'm looking at currently. So we're looking at this again. This is on the daily, the 8 hours, the 4 hours, and the 2 hour time frame. We'll probably step down to like the hourly, and I'll show you guys the position thing I'm looking at. So if you remember, I'll put this on the daily time frame, or let's do the weekly real quick. So let's do the weekly real quick. So if you guys remember, we've been looking at this bigger picture thing. So we had price coming to an area like this. There was an inability for prices to drop, and we've been talking about price moving again to the upside, so that's nothing new. So you can put this back on the daily time frame. So what I like doing is looking at current price action, like what's happening currently, and then I try to build, let's say, setups from recent price action. So if you look at this on the daily time frame, it's an impulse correction thing. So if you take this out, you can connect this area to this one, and you have this channel that's forming. So you're looking at this impulsive move, you're looking at this correction right here, and we're anticipating, like, let's say price can come back to an area like this. So just looking at this on the daily time frame, that's what I've been looking at all week. So I just had to put the channel thing just to see where price is most likely going to gravitate to, and there's a psychological level right here of 100,000 flat. So that's a level I've been looking at, and I think if you watch the previous forecast, that's a level we've been anticipating. So let's see. Yeah, I don't know what I touched, but my screen just went completely blank. All right, cool. So we're looking at this on the daily time frame. So it's been this impulse, it's been this correction. So just looking at this on this higher time frame, there's this high possibility price is still going to move again to the upside, and this is not looking good because I still have this buy positions on gold. But I'll show you guys what I'm really looking at, because if you step down to lower time frames, we might capitalize on the pullbacks coming in on the DXY, then use this pullbacks on the DXY to get those minor buys on gold. So daily time frame, we had price taking out this trend line. So it's an impulse correction, testing this trend line again, and we have prices moving to the upside. So here's a channel I'm paying attention to, and it's the same channel I'm looking at on the 8-hour time frame. So same thing, it's an impulse, you get a correction like this to the downside, and now we're expecting prices to move again to the upside, giving you the same thing, impulse correction. The first area I'm really paying attention to is the psychological level of 100. So while looking at this, there's a couple of things I'm anticipating at this point. We might see the DXY selling temporarily, because every impulse comes, let's say you get an impulse, then you get a temporal sell, and then the continuation move to the upside. So I'm expecting the DXY to sell to an area like this, and then you might see prices moving again to the upside. So you're looking at this piece right here. Now it's an impulse, you had a correction, so now it's an impulse, and I'm expecting a correction. Now when you look at this structure on, let's say, the 2-hour time frame or the hourly time frame, it's not looking likely. It's not looking like the DXY is going to drop to the downside before buying. But on the bigger time frame thing, that's what I'm looking at. Impulse, correction, impulse. Within this massive impulse, we're looking for temporal corrections, impulse corrections, for price to move again to the upside. So I'll bring you guys over here to like the 2-hour time frame. So let's start with the 4-hour time frame real quick. So you're looking at this piece right here, impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction. It's an impulse right here, there's a correction. You're looking at this impulse, and I'm expecting a correction right here. So it's the same thing we've been looking at, or the same thing we've been talking about. Now if you step down, let's say, to the 2-hour time frame right here, you can see just connecting the dots. Yeah, so you connect the dots, trend line right here, put another trend line right here. So currently price is trading outside this upper trend line, which is not looking good, because normally you want to see prices hovering around an area like this with that inability for prices to go through the upper trend line, so you can see price coming to the downside. Just similar thing around here. So I was looking at this, anticipating the same thing, inability so prices can drop, but currently price is trading outside this trend line, like this upper trend line thing. Now if price comes back within this area, so if price pulls back within this piece right here, then I'll be expecting the DXY to drop to the downside. So two possibilities right now. The first one, on lower time frames, you could see the DXY coming back to this area. There's a trend line right here, inability for prices to go through this area, and you see the DXY moving again to the upside. First area, we'll get a test of 100,000 flat, and then the next possible area, you go back to the daily time frame, you look at the bigger channel thing, and then you expect prices to move again higher. So that's it for me on the DXY. If we see prices coming back within this trend line, and you consider this, let's say, a fake out or anything, then you could see prices just consolidating again to the downside, doing the same thing, giving you that structure right there. Then you're waiting again for prices to move to the upside. So if this happens, it's gonna help with the buys I have on gold currently. Now, if it doesn't happen this way, then let's say we're looking at this on 1 minute. We're looking at this on that was a 2 hour. Let's go back to the 4 hour time frame. So let's say we're looking at this on the 4 hour time frame, and the buys are not slowing down on the DXY. So all you're saying is just this impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction thing, and you see price building up like this. So you're getting just temporal sells, temporal sells, temporal sells. Then you could see the DXY moving again to the upside, temporal sells. You see the DXY moving to the upside, temporal sells, again moving to the upside. So there's multiple ways you can look at it. You can look at the bigger picture thing, and you can look at, let's say, the minor structures within this overall big picture thing. So right now, what I would like to see is impulse correction. I want to see impulse. I want to see a correction. So that's the main reason why I'm still holding my buy positions on gold, because every impulse comes with a correction, then a continuation to the upside. So I'll keep my buys on gold based off of this analysis right here, and I'll see what's going to happen. So that's my take on the DXY. The bigger picture, 8 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, and then the hourly. So that's it right there. Now let's look at gold. I'll show you guys. There's a position I'm looking at coming into next week. It's on a lower time frame thing. I'll show you guys, and I'll show you guys the positions I have currently. All right, let's look at gold. So this is a tricky one, because if you look at the position where I have my buys on gold right now, it's really tricky, because you can get one spike and you see prices just coming all the way to the downside. But if you're looking at this from the weekly time frame, for example, so on the weekly time frame, I spoke about this impulse right here, correction, impulse, and so we're expecting a correction. So in as much as I have this buys on gold currently, I know it's very tricky, and price can reverse anytime. So I'll show you guys on the lower time frame on gold what area I'm really expecting prices to tap into, and then we could probably see those reversals coming in. So currently I'll still hold these positions, but I'll show you guys a point where I'll get really worried if price gets to that point. So we're looking at this on the weekly time frame. It's an impulse, it's an impulse, it's a correction, it's an impulse, and you're expecting a correction again. Same thing we looked on the DXY, impulse correction. Gold is predominantly bullish, so every impulse you're expecting a correction to come in, then you look for the continuation again to the upside. Now, some corrections are very extensive, like it goes over a longer period of time compared to others. So while we're looking at this on the weekly time frame and expecting prices to drop to the downside, if you look at this on the 8 hour time frame, so let's put this on the 8 hour time frame, we saw prices trading outside right here, and at the time I was looking at that, I'm saying, all right, cool, we might be breaking outside this upper trend line thing, and we might see prices moving again to the upside. But we had a reversal, price came back within the structure. So when you start putting these things together, you can tell, like, all right, cool, we might be having this extended pullbacks on gold. So you might see something like this, a continuation again to the downside. It's very likely to see something like this, but currently or presently I'm still setting these buys, because there's a point where I'm really expecting prices to tap into, and then we might see those reversals coming in. So you can capitalize on little moves like this as well if you have a good entry. So that's what I'm looking on the 8 hour time frame. So just looking at this on the 8 hour time frame, there is this area right here. Price can drop to fill this area, giving you the same thing we was looking on the weekly time frame, consolidation, giving you the same thing, consolidation. So you still have this massive area to play with, and that's a lot of points you can play with right there, a lot of pips you can play with if those sales are gonna come in. Now I'll show you guys real quick on the 8 hour time frame. So we had sales coming in. So here's the impulse, and you had price halting around an area like this. So you might see this push again to the upside. So you might see a push to the upside. You get an inability for prices to move up. Then you see sellers taking over and you see prices coming again to the downside. So when something like this happens, it's the same thing we've been looking at. It's just this impulse correction thing. So you get the correction to the downside, you get a push to the upside, you get a correction again to the downside. So that's the same thing I've been looking at, and the same structures I've been playing with all along. So that's it for me on the daily time frame. Sorry, I think I was calling this the 8-hour time frame, but that's on the daily time frame. So now on the 8-hour time frame, I'll put this, let's make this bigger. So let's look at this structure on the 8-hour time frame right here. So you get this impulse thing. You get an impulse, you see price coming down, there's a low, price made a low, there's an inability to make lows, and you can put your channel thing right here. It's a very important tool I've been using. So I'm looking at this on the 8-hour time frame. I had my entries around an area like this, so we're not talking about those entries right now, but let's look at what price is most likely going to do and where price is most likely going to gravitate to. So the principle remains the same. You get an impulse, you're waiting for the correction, and you want to see price moving again to the upside. So probably testing this area, pull back, making extended moves again to the upside, because gold is predominantly bullish. So every extended move you see, so every push like this impulse, you're waiting for this correction and for prices to move again to the upside. So same thing right here. It's an impulse and we're expecting a correction. Now the difficulty, why is you looking at this, is price just gonna hold around an area like this and start moving to the upside, or is price gonna do something like this, push, come back down, giving you this complex pullback? And it's very difficult to tell why price is just playing out. So you can only anticipate and do, let's say, take positions based off of what you're looking at, and this is what I'm looking at currently. So we had price moving down right here, inability, and we've taken out this upper trend line thing. So if you put a channel right here just to connect the dots, you can see what price has been doing. So you had this push to the downside right here, there's a channel thing. So this is what I was looking at. So we had a violation of this channel right here. So we had a violation of the channel right here. So I was looking for, let's say, a pullback just to this trend line. You get a test of this trend line and you see price moving again to the upside. So that's my take right there on the 8-hour time frame. And if you look at this on the 4-hour time frame, so the entries I had on this position, I think I had this on the hourly time frame. So I'll probably step down to the hourly and show you guys. But this right here is on the 4-hour time frame. So it's the same thing I'm looking at. So right here, there's this upper trend line thing. We've seen price taking out this area. There's a move. So price is currently trading outside, and it's very okay for you to see price pulling back, giving you this slow movement, just getting the test of the trend line thing. So you get a breach and you're looking for this movement right here, so you can see price is moving again to the upside. So that's okay for me. The only problem is if this finds it difficult to move to the upside and you get this extended moves again, once you see price coming in like really deep to an area like this, then it might be difficult for these positions to play out as I've been anticipating. So that's on the 4-hour time frame. Let's see if I can look at the hourly. So here's on the hourly time frame. Now I told you guys how there's a point or there's a price thing I'm looking at, and I'm saying, all right, cool, if price gets to this point, we might get those reversals coming in. So I'll show you guys what I was looking at. So right here, this area right here, so that's a point I'm really paying attention to. So if you look at my risk to reward tool, I just have my risk to reward tool at this area, because if price gets to this highs right here and there's this difficulty for prices to go through this area, then you might see a deeper push to the downside. So that's what I'm looking at. So as price is moving currently, you're looking at this impulse, then there's a correction, there's an impulse, and then there's a correction. So I told you guys there's another position I'm looking at, and I'll show you real quick. So here's on the hourly time frame. Now the position I'm looking at is on the lower time frame thing. So we're looking at, let's say, 15-minute time frame and lower. So if we step down to the 15-minute time frame right there, So I'll show you guys. Let's make this bigger so you can see. Let's see. All right, cool. So here's my take right now. On this time frame, it's an impulse, it's a correction right here, it's another impulse, and it's a correction right here. So I didn't get in at this point. Because it's a little bit too risky taking interest at this point. So what I'm anticipating right now is for prices to sell again lower. So if I see sales coming in and there's that inability, so there's a low right here, you're waiting for another inability, another low right there, so you're looking at lows, so price starts making higher lows and stuff like that. It tells you like, all right, cool, there's this inability for prices to move to the downside, so we might now look at this buying opportunities. So that's it right there. That's a position I'm anticipating coming into next week. So if this sales can come in, let's say just creeping, like coming in slowly, inability, then I'll be looking for buying opportunities on this pair again. So that's my analysis right there, and I think I've said everything already. So let's see, that's on the 15-minute time frame. Back to the hourly right there. So that's the area I'm paying attention to. I can take that off. So that's the area I'm paying attention to. And depending on how the DXY plays out, so we're looking at this on the DXY. If this guy starts selling, let's say just selling and dumping to the downside, which is another possibility, but it might be difficult for that to play out. So if it starts selling, so we're looking at this, and then I might extend this to the upside. So look at this, you might decide to hold this a little bit longer and get, let's say, 1:8 from that position. Now if the DXY keeps buying, then I'm just gonna take what the market gives me. So that's it right there. And hourly 4 hours, let's see, right there, bring this back. Cool. So daily, put this on the 8 hour. All right guys, so that's my analysis right there. That's the price action I'm looking at, and I don't know what you guys are looking at. I don't know how your trading week was. I had a really tough one, but followed the same principles, like the same setups and everything. Impulse correction. So that's it right there. And if price decides to sell, it's going to stop me out, and then we'll come back, reanalyze, and look for better positions, better entries, better confirmations, and come back next week stronger and better than this week. All right guys, make sure you consistent, make sure you're praying. That's the most important one, and be patient as well. And I'll see you guys during the next one. Bye for now.